So, right, okay. This is exciting, isn't it? This is this is one of those things that, for me, you see people doing live videos, trying live videos, and you feel a bit sorry for them, and you think, oh my God, that person's trying live videos. So we have, myself and Chris, have double dared each other to start doing some more content, I guess. And I think we're coming from the right place. It's not content because we want to be famous. It's content because we think we've developed a way of existing, of living, of being better humans that we want to share with people out there. We've got a lot in common, but we're also very different in many respects. We go back a long way. And so we're just going to try this, a little trial run, little guinea pig, see how we get on, aren't we, mate?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, it's pushing that comfort zone, see how we get on.
But I guess it's one of those, isn't it, where if we don't get out there what we want to get out there, then, you know, it's almost seems selfish. We just need to be a bit more confident in sharing what we've learned, and hopefully it lands with a few more people, because we're at heart good blokes, aren't we? We just want to share it out there and see who we can help out.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the tough thing is, I think you go on this little bit of a journey, don't you? And it's you feel the benefit, and you know how much of a difference you feel, and you sort of almost want to not tell people about that, but sort of, for me anyway, it's almost like I never really realised that you could change to that extent. So just if other people perhaps are thinking about how you've done it or aren't necessarily aware, just trying to drop the little hooks that might help somebody else out, I guess.
I was at our neighbours at a barbecue the other day, and I didn't even think about the context of being someone who doesn't have a drink anymore, going to a barbecue. We just went, and with a lad there who was 26, 27. When we were that age, what were we doing? You know, like having a few beers and enjoying our fun, staying up a bit later than we do now. And he said, last time I spoke to you, you stopped drinking. I said, yeah, it's 6 years in September. He went, whoa, well done, mate. That's really good going. You know, and so I was a bit like, is it? I just have a can of something else, where you have a can of beer. I didn't say that, but because I was like, all right, cool, yeah, nice one. There's always an achievement. But when I remember being a long time ago, I would avoid the people having a shandy because I just thought they were infinitely boring, for not wanting to get smashed and talk nonsense to me, and you know, the people wanted to go home a bit earlier. And I guess me and you, I've got to leave for school in a bit. Our paths crossed quite a bit, maybe through some mutual friends, didn't they? Really, I'd be in the pub with there'd be an overlap, wouldn't there? Your mates and my mates, there'd be an overlap. And so we knew of you. You say hello to, would always say hello in the street or whatever, and then over time we, I guess, settled in the area. We have children. They're pretty much, they're both at the same. Well, our two eldest and your two boys are at the same primary school. We've seen each other at various clubs and rugby and all that kind of stuff during those years of being parents in the local area. And then, I don't know, is it because you can see what people are doing on social media? There was some kind of connection, wasn't there? I think I'd just got into my CrossFit. You started to do a bit of running and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it was, probably started spending a little bit more time on social media and paying a bit more attention to it coming out of lockdown, really, and sort of all that time. And then, yeah, like you said, I think I went from not really having any level of fitness, and then just starting just before lockdown, sort of focusing on my health a little bit as a result of having kids and wanting to feel a bit better. And that just sort of spiraled a bit, really, given that lockdown exercise was like the only thing you could do. And then it just sort of always went like a little step further. And I think eventually you told me that OL1 were getting involved with something called Hyrox. That was a new thing in the UK that come over from Germany, and a few people from your gym were going to do it, and said, do you fancy signing up for it? And timing was right. So I jumped on, and then loved it, loved meeting new people, loved the challenge of the event itself and all the training. And yeah, I guess we've sort of had a stronger connection through that to start with, and then yeah, there's been the crossover with everything else that's gone on that we've both had on, like you said.
Oh, that's it. You went on the odd. I'd do the odd Zoom call, wouldn't I, to just bring people together in lockdown?
Yeah,
You do it then.
yeah,
Yeah, we were having a Hyrox Open Day, weren't we? And all that was with a text. So just in case anyone is watching this not now, Chris has never been a client of mine. He's never paid for any of my services, and I've never. We have no professional link because he's a quantity surveyor. I used to sell cars, and now do what I do. And I think it just shows the value of sharing something good with people, because loads of other people that I sent that text to either didn't respond or didn't fancy it, but you did. And whenever I think about whether I'm trying to get people to look at my working with our home-based business, a lot of people aren't interested, but some people are. You just don't know who it is at what time. I think back to that impact of a text, because I didn't do any training. I've not trained you. I've not made you into. You've done that, but that just a little bit of an information thing. It just shows that if you've got a message to share, even if it's just, do you fancy doing this on Saturday? Then always something, the ripple effect can happen. Because out of that, Chris, I know you've made, you've done some amazing things with your wife Jo, in terms of she's done Hyrox and really got into a training. Your kids are really active and really proud of you. Some of your mates have got into this. I know you've made the World Championships, you and Tom.
yeah.
The pairs world championships down in Manchester, which was pretty amazing to watch. The financial impact on me, 0. The emotional impact was like 100. And all that is potentially a dad from school that you used to see in the pub now and again. You know what I mean? It's weird, isn't it, how it's found?
Yeah, like you say, it's like a little text that's spiraled into quite a bit, but yeah, it just shows, doesn't it? Like, you're not always going to be there for, like, it's a lot of it's timing, isn't it? And yeah, that text just landed at a time where, for me, I was just, I guess, like a lot of people who train on their own or without a specific goal in mind, was just starting to go through the motions a little bit. And yeah, it's been a great focus, and I think having that focus for me is something that really helps me stick to stuff. So yeah, I'll never forget you sending that. It's definitely made the last few years a bit more interesting.
But out of all, let's just pretend that nobody who sees this knows who you are. You're a senior person in the property world, aren't you? You've got to be places and go places. You've got responsibilities. You're not just training all day, are you? To do a Hyrox event at World. So
yeah,
3-hour 19 marathon the other day, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, a month ago. That doesn't just happen, does it? You've got to train hard.
Yeah, still feeling the effects of the marathon, to be honest. But job is, I think Rob said, like, I'm a surveyor, so chartered surveyor, with like a consultancy focus. So I work for like the largest real estate company in the world, and with like responsibility for a service line for their northern offices, so Manchester, Leeds, and Liverpool. And yeah, that's like full-time job, quite demanding in terms of time in the office, time on client sites, time out doing surveys now and again. So yeah, training is a big part of life. I've got obviously family, training, work, all these things to juggle, like Rob speaks about. And yeah, finding balance is probably the toughest thing, because no weeks are the same. There's always something new popping up. Kids are always joining a new club, or they've got birthday parties. The same things that everyone has to deal with. Nothing particularly complex, but when you add 5, 6, 7 things that you need to fit into a busy week already, then I think a bit of adaptability is probably one of the most important things I've learned over the last 2 or 3 years, as sort of I've got into Hyrox, got into sort of better routines and better habits with health. And yeah, I know that's sort of similar to your journey, albeit you've been doing it for a bit longer, Rob.
Yeah, I guess so. I got involved in fitness after falling out of love with lacrosse, the sport I'd always played. I was feeling old. felt like I was being treated like an older player and wasn't quite catching the first team as much. And and I decided to go and get myself fit and wandered into what I now know is a CrossFit style gym. And all of a sudden, becoming fit became important, not just what was kind of expected to play, a minority sport on a Saturday afternoon. And it's an interesting journey with the trials and tribulations of helping my parents run a small business. We needed to get out of that so they could retire and I could move on, because I didn't want to take it on after 18 years of working there. The fitness thing just became a bigger thing for me. But the balancing is important, isn't it? Because I could probably be a bit fitter, but I'm doing the things with the kids, or I'm working on my business. My business could be bigger, but do I sacrifice my training that day, or do I work through when the kids are playing football? And you're spinning all these plates, and I think sometimes we're trying to chase perfection, all these ones, and the first one to drop for most people is the one on themselves. Yeah. So tonight, taking Max down to his football, I could really do with going for a long, slower run, because I've got Hyrox coming in October. I've done no running. I've done 4 runs since last one in January, but I ain't going to go for a 2-hour run on a Monday night. It's not happening. So I'll go for a different run. And it's adapting, isn't it? I think I saw something on Instagram. You've been doing bike sprints, 30-second bike sprints.
Just today, because I was short on time, and I think
Were you home within including driving to the gym and driving back, probably home within an hour if you're doing that?
Well, it's just because I had a busy day. I've been over in Bolton, dropped the kids off at school, went straight over to Bolton to do an inspection. Came home, and then we spoke about sort of doing this today, and I just thought, well, I've not got time to fit an hour's gym in and speak to Rob, because I've got other commitments. So I just know that there's sessions that you can do in a short amount of time that will give you a similar stimulus, and just having sort of systems that you can default to, I think, is one of the biggest things that I've probably learned on my personal development journey, if that's what you want to call it. That quote from, is it James Clear, that you don't rise to the levels of your goals, you fall to the levels of your systems, is something that always sticks out to me. And I think that's something that I've definitely focused on these last 12 months, and it pays off. Like, they're all like, I always feel a little bit cringy saying stuff like that or attaching it to a post on Instagram or whatever, but I like them and they resonate, and I think they probably do with a lot of people. But it's just making sure you stick to it as opposed to just looking at it and forgetting about it again.
Yeah, I think in terms of training, I'm going to let you talk about invite you to talk about GRAFT in a second, this concept you developed, but it's that minimum effective dose, isn't it? Like you've got the biggest bang for your buck then. There, you've done 30 seconds of bike sprints. I think you did them 10 times. There's a lot. You've left the gym fitter than you went there. You're fitter today than you were this morning, and you've been very time efficient. You could have gone to the gym for 3 hours, sacked off me, sacked off work, sacked off the kids, and you haven't done. And it's finding the right thing that's going to be attuned to your goals at that point in time. Chris, just out of all this, out of us being acquaintances, now I see us as mates. I probably see you more than I see any of my friends, because it's in the school playground, it's on on runs or all that kind of stuff. Been to train you a couple of times. You've developed an actual concept that is pretty cool called GRAFT, GRAFT. Have you got like a couple of minutes just to sort of go through what that is and what it means? And maybe that'll sort of land with a few of the people that are watching this a little bit later on.
Yeah, definitely. So it's, when I was just talking then about like systems, through just trial and error, I worked out for me that I had goals probably like anyone or most people that related around like happiness, health and wealth. and setting goals around things like that always felt like it was like a very sort of short term thing, and it was difficult to, once you're achieved, it was like, what do you do now? Just set a higher target. So yeah, the systems thing was on my mind, and I've got like personality type is that I'll try and conceptualize everything. So I just did some time sort of thinking about what values were important to me, and in line with those sort of goals of being happier, making more money so I could do more things that are important to me, and being healthier. And it just came up with sort of brain dumped a load of values and ended up with like 5, which were sort of growth, like personal growth, relationships, having important relationships with family, friends, people through work, like business development, adventure. So I, I just want to make sure I'm maximizing what I'm doing in my life, sort of not saying no to opportunities. I want to try new things. You don't know what you don't know, so being open to things like this, just looking at it as a bit of adventure and what's the worst that can happen. Fitness is the F, self-explanatory, but yeah, mental and physical fitness, and then like teaching is the last one. So that's the T of the graft. And I think as a dad, I find it's important to have a bit of a focus on teaching, not only for the kids, but helping out with like rugby coaching, football coaching that they're involved with. My role as like a senior person within the business means I've got to help sort of people further down. So in the business with their development. So they were just 5 things that I thought were important to me. So growth, relationships, adventure, fitness, and teaching. I think other people could look at those and come up with their own ideas as to how they could apply it to their own life. But it's just the concepts that I came up with that if you can focus on those sort of 5 pillars of well-being, you're probably not going to be far off where you want to be, regardless of what your personal goals are. And it just, that putting it into one word for me just focuses my mind. So take example like this, what we're doing today. Like if I hadn't had that system and you'd said, do you want to jump on a Facebook Live? I might have said, well, I've got other stuff on today, but setting out those principles and knowing what's important to me, taking the time to sort of think about that, just makes me look through opportunities like that through a different lens and probably like understand that on the other side of it, I'm going to get benefit out of it personally, and hopefully sort of helping out other people who might be just a little bit further behind on their journey or feel a bit stuck as to sort of how to unlock next steps for them.
Yes, you tend to be, I don't know if you find this, but you tend to be talking to your old self, don't you, a lot of the time?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I think that's what it is. It's like a system that I probably didn't feel like was out there. Like people tend to like acronyms, don't they? Like this SMART goal setting. They're just memorable, aren't they? So I think that's part of why I wanted it to be sort of condensed into a word.
If anyone can think of a good acronym for nudge, right? So I was doing it yesterday. I was like trying to watch the kids play lacrosse, thinking NUDGE. Chris has already done GRAFT. That GRAFT is really good. He's got a thing, and I'm like, all I got was D for dads, and the rest of it didn't make any sense. But yours is perfect. It makes sense and is a good word. And you've even logoed up some shirts and stuff, haven't you? You've got yourself.
Got it on here, mate. On brand.
So they can turn into something that we've had a coffee about it. I mean, you've got a great concept, and it's not just you've sat down and thought, I need to think of a business opportunity. I'll call it graft. It's actually something that's come from you in your heart, hasn't it? Hopefully you'll be able to get out there and speak to a few more people. Now we've got this. From my perspective, I've got this Nudging the Balance little Facebook group. We've got 25 members on the WhatsApp for dads who want to just mingle, connect, network a little bit, a bit of business flying around, but there's also some sort of help. What do I do about my kids playing on this PlayStation sort of scenario? Maybe the sort of thing you wouldn't put openly on social media, but you can do in a smaller group. So if anyone's watching this and wants to jump on, that's fine. Please find Chris on Instagram. What's the handle, Chris?
So Chris Mann X. It's MANN, all one word.
Right, okay, that's the one. So give Chris a follow. Some of his training is pretty spectacular. You'll see him at the running track, you'll see him in the gym, you'll see him up mountains, and then next thing you know, you'll see him surveying some massive big warehouse in Wigan or something like that. It's quite an interesting life. And Al's probably. Are you going to do the school run now?
No, not today. Got a couple more bits to do, so leaving it to Joe for today.
Right, so I'm going to put it out there. I've told everyone today I'm going to train. I said I was going to train at 8 this morning. I didn't. I said I was going to train at lunchtime. I didn't. So I've now got to train 5 till 5:45 before I take the boys down to football practice. Then Cubs. I'll publicly put that out there to make sure that I'm accountable, mate. But no, it's been a really interesting few years for us both, hasn't it? So making big changes. I think becoming better human beings. Not that we were bad human beings to start with, and certainly not that people who don't do what we do are bad human beings at all. We just feel that we have improved ourselves, and we've found ways that we can help other people do that as well. So feel free to, I'm sure, reach out to either of us and, for a chat. Feel free to jump on the groups. Obviously, follow Chris, and just keep an eye out for anything else that's going on there. And if you feel like you can add value to what we're doing, please feel free to drop us a note. And we've managed to do our first Facebook Live, which means we've done our double dates for the day, Chris.
Yeah, we just need to make sure we turn it off properly without losing it now, don't we?
Yeah, so this needs. Yes, this now needs. I pressed it. Right. How old are you? Are you 40?
39.
You're 39. So I remember my
Yeah.
dad being able to work his computer when he started his business, and when having a car phone and not being able to work it and stuff. We are at that stage of not knowing how to work stuff. So I'm gonna finish this call, get it sent out there, and then I'll do my best to try and get it over to you as well, mate, so you can do what you need to do with it.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Rob.
Nice. Catch you later. First one's done. See you later.
later.
Cheers, Chris.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
See you.